I think it is silly to think of him as the Bulwark Pope. That said, I encourage everybody to do it because it will drive these mouth-breathing idiots insane. Hello, everyone. This is JVL here with my best friend, Sarah Longwell, publisher of The Bulwark. Sarah, happy Friday. It happened. Judge Janine, box of wine. Oh, no. I'm sorry. We have an American Pope. If I had said to you, let's just wind back the clock 2 years. And I had said one of these two things is likely to happen. Either Janine Pirro, the woman who consumes Franzia in such quantities that she is an embarrassment to Fox News. You
don't know that it's Franzia.
That's true. It could be $2 Chuck.
I bet it's a nicer wine than that.
No judgment.
She makes good bones there on the 5.
You should drink what you like. No shame. I don't shame people. But if I had said to you, she's going to wind up as the U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, or the next pope will be American, which would you have said was more likely? And yet,
here gets to the rub of something I want to talk about with you on this show, which is to say, I would have had a difficult time evaluating that because I was yesterday years old when I learned that we had never had an American pope, because I've thought about the pope
You're
for
kidding.
0% of my life, and I need to explain something to you, and this is what I was hoping you would do in this show. This is one of those moments. It's sort of like, for me, when something big is happening with the royals, another thing I assiduously maintain my distance from, that I just don't care, and that I understand culturally matters a great deal to a great many people. And so I observe it. This is actually what Donald Trump was like for me as well. Like, this is a thing that is over here that I know people care about and they engage with, but it isn't for me. And so I don't do much with it. And only when it crosses the plane into my political interest do I. This is how I felt about Elon. You know, this is like, and
or
this
the
is,
NFL.
Sure. Right. So,
yeah.
At the intersection of politics and culture, I will often be like, oh, okay, I've got to engage with this thing now. And so actually I was hoping that you would explain all the Pope stuff to me, because suddenly the only thing I know about now I'm like, wait, the Pope was on Twitter. Like, it took me 4 seconds to find the Pope's Twitter. And I was able to, it's not hard to decipher his feelings about a few things, including our vice president. And so, now I'm interested, is basically the case.
Well, hold on. We will spend most of the show on that.
Okay.
But we got to talk about Judge Janine.
Also, I think if you'd only asked me 2 years ago,
yeah,
I probably could have taken the Janine thing. I'm like, well, if Trump's president, that seems highly plausible.
I guess. I don't think so, though. I think you only think that because you live in a world where Pete Hegseth is the Secretary of Defense.
That's a good point.
And Kash Patel is the Director of the FBI. Because these are things that even on November 5th, if I would say 90% of Americans, if you had said, oh, yeah, that handsome fella with the good jawline from Fox Weekends, he's going to be SecDef. I said, now, come on. And that's
this
what
is
it is.
Yesterday, after Judge Janine was, Trump bleated her nomination, I went to Twitter to make a joke about how, cool, can't wait for Jesse Waters to be, Secretary of Commerce. And then I was like, well, that's not out of the question.
Why not?
Why would I think that's a funny joke? Just giving him ideas now.
It is funny to me how typically the path to becoming a cabinet secretary involves elected politics. And so you would be a governor, for instance. Remember the George Bush years and the Clinton years when they stacked with all of these, political heavyweights. It was Tommy Thompson and I don't know, just people were good in politics. And And now the way to get into the cabinet of the president of the United States is to just be on Fox a lot.
Yeah.
That's something.
I mean,
do you think we go back from that?
I want to say yes. Although I do think as a matter of, and this is something I've been talking about like when I'm out giving talks and things, that there used to be one of the axioms of politics. There's a lot of axioms around politics that I think are gone now. And one of them is that politics is downstream from culture. Mm-hmm. And I would say like, no, like politics and culture are now fused. It sort of goes to my earlier book about how now, like the extent to which I have sort of opted out of certain cultural segments because I don't care about them. Like I now have to know about them. Like if you told me, and this is now going back 10 years, that, or like whenever The Apprentice was on, that I was going to learn more about politics and understanding the electorate in the future by watching that show, I would have been like, why?
And also you would have been horrified and you would have thought, get me the fuck off this ride.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have.
Right. Well, I mean, here's the thing. People who come from television as opposed to come from the world of getting votes have no independent power. And so they are wholly beholden to you.
Right. They're used to having like a team. Everybody does everything for them except like be the person on camera. Not like us, where this is a production-free show. Right now, we're doing this all ourselves.
Jamie, she's kidding.
Oh, Jamie does this show. Sorry.
Yes.
Well, we for a long time, you and I just
yeah,
you did
it was just it did used to be just us, but once we went to video, I needed help.
Thanks, Jamie.
I can edit audio. I can't edit video yet. No, but there is so here's the thing, right? So typically in a presidential administration, the president wants high-level cabinet people around him who are just the right mix of willing to take initiative on their own, but also are just 100% loyal to him, right? And the problem with having, like, say, the governor of Wisconsin in your cabinet is that the governor of Wisconsin has a political base. And the governor of Wisconsin could go back to Wisconsin politics. He could try to use that base to launch an independent bid for president, which Tommy Thompson did, right? And so, they're loyal to you, but they've got a future independent of you.
Right.
When you just pick like some woman off the TV who can't get hired anywhere else because she's not even a real news person, she's just like there. She has nothing else to do and nowhere else to go. Same with Pete Hegseth. Like, what is Pete Hegseth going to do? And so they will do whatever you demand of them.
Oh,
if you say like I want you to break the law for
military.
me, yeah. If you say I want you to do this thing and break the law for me, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And
also, but part of it is it goes actually to something bigger about the Trump administration that's been kind of interesting. Like this, Trump used to, right? You knew he was consuming lots of news, but now he is trying to basically like be on the news all the time. Like there's a reason that he keeps doing these like filmed Oval Office things, or he's doing the televised cabinet meetings where they all praise him. Like he still bleats a lot, but in his first term, he seemed to want to sort of let the TV reflect back to him, like what he was trying to control with his tweets. And now he's just like, no, I'm just going to be on TV all the time. Yeah. And so it sort of makes sense that he has picked an entire cabinet that's sort of made for TV, comes from TV, and so they are substance-free. They don't have, like, meaningful expertise
They
in
spend all
jobs.
their time on TV, too.
Yeah, they also, that's right. They're like, Pete Hegseth is just always making videos.
Always there. Pam Bondi on Fox all the time.
And that's because they're made for TV. They're not made for doing these jobs.
So here's the last thing I want to say about this and why I think it's significant. So if you are a president of the old mold and you are picking these cabinet. Look, Judge Janine is not a cabinet level appointee, but it's like an important gig.
So there's only the Southern District of New York, and then here in those are the biggest AUS
Yeah. You pick people who are competent for that because you think it's important that they can do the job, because you think their ability to do the job matters for your popularity. Trump's view is clearly not that. He doesn't think the jobs are important at all.
Right.
Except that the people in them are willing to do his asks for him. That means breaking laws, doing things which they shouldn't do, and helping to enrich him. And the actual function of the office, forget that. He doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about it because he doesn't think it matters in relation to the general public's opinion of the job he is doing.
Right.
That's some nihilistic skiznet.
Yeah, I mean, it is all extremely scary. There is something though about they're such lightweights. Like Janine Pirro, I can't say I've followed her career so closely. She was a prosecutor, and the reason I know that is because she was weirdly in the Jinx. I think she was only in the Jinx too. She was a lawyer involved in the. Do you know that HBO show about the guy? He was. I can't remember his name. Bob something. He was very, very rich. He killed his wife. When they brought him in to kill his wife, or about that, they basically discovered, the show discovers. Actually, this is one of those real crime things on HBO where it turns out he had maybe he had killed his best friend. But anyway, they were interviewing him though. They'd never gotten this guy. And they had been trying for a long time, and then the documentary film person, Andrew Jarecki, I think gets him dead to rights. He goes to the bathroom and he's still mic'd. And at the very end of the first season, he's like, I killed them all. And you hear him on the spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't watched The Jinx. But then they do a season 2 of The Jinx.
This show sounds amazing.
It was an incredible bit of television. Because they get him because of the documentary. And so the second season is them with a bunch of footage of people watching the show where they've gotten him and now he's, whatever. Anyway, she's in it is the moral of this story. So she was a practicing attorney for a period of time. She's been on Fox News as The Five, laughing at Greg Gutfeld for the last however long, though. That's what she's done during the Trump era. So it's been a very long time.
Rudy was a prosecutor once, too.
I know. And now they have these, the world is completely past. They don't have expertise in these anymore. He's just oh, you're a TV lawyer. Cool.
No, she's a real lawyer again.
Oh, wait. But this was, I went on this long detour only to say, I do wonder at the level of incompetence of the people that he's put in there. They can only do as much damage by kind of getting out of the way. Even Kash Patel. Did you see the Kash Patel hearing where they were so you have to submit your budget to Congress. We're here. So we're having a budget hearing. He's oh, I don't have a budget. And it's well, what? And he's just yeah, I'm not doing that. These people don't know how to run these things. They don't know how to do the basic operations.
I guess that's what Dan Bongino does. Dan handles the budget.
What has happened to Dan Bongino? Where's he been?
That's so funny. All right. Well, hey, we're going to talk about the Pope stuff now and how MAGA has absolutely lost its ever-loving mind over Pope Leo. That's for the members. So if you want to hear the rest of the show, come on in and subscribe. Thanks, guys.